Thank you so much for having me, Professor Holmes. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about a project I'm doing really quick and see if any of you guys can help me. Basically, I'm in the process of starting a youth filmmaking program called Salt City Studios, and our mission is to connect Newhouse students with local Syracuse high schoolers to teach them the basics of filmmaking and have their basically give them a platform to have their voices heard. Um, and yeah, it's divided into 4 or 5 weeks, and editing is one of the weeks, and we need editors to help teach. So that's why I'm here. Yeah, if anyone is interested, I could send you guys more materials, and I can drop an email address in the chat. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I can give you guys the rundown. I won't do it here, but I'll drop the email address, and yeah, let me know if you're interested.
Yeah, and some of the people here are from Ithaca, so an hour away. So if that's something you're interested in others helping as well, can you talk about that for a sec?
Yeah, I mean, currently it's all SU people. But if you're from Ithaca and you're like, oh, this is something I'd love to bring to Ithaca, or I know a connection in the Syracuse City School District or in the Ithaca School District who might be able to help us make this happen, then you're more than welcome to reach out as well. We're brand new and we're flexible, and we're really just working to look with anyone or work with anyone who's interested, pretty much.
Cool. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, sorry if you said, but is this pet project part of a class, a co-curricular?
I mean, it was originally part of a media venture launch class for me from last semester, but we unfortunately weren't able to get into any schools and get access to kids, so it's carried into the semester. But it's not something I really see as something for a class. It's something that I want to like bring to SU and then leave to undergraduates and kind of pass off to them and have this be like a running thing for future grades.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So yeah, put the stuff in the chat. I can pass it along tomorrow, or if you want to email me some like a link or anything, you can do that too.
Yeah, I put 2 emails that are good for me in the chat. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Great. Thanks, Jack.
Bye.
You got some claps. All right, so tonight we've got Tanner and Cammy. So we've got our like first SU Ithaca cross collaboration. I don't know. So they're doing Tanner senior at Ithaca and Cammy junior at Syracuse. So they kind of teamed up for this thing tonight, and Cammy's learning along with the rest of you. So she practiced really hard and she's going to do a great job. So it's Cammy's first meeting that she's leading. So please support her. And Tanner, you've done one before, I think.
I don't think I have, actually.
I feel like you've talked a lot.
I've probably just like not.
It's just been a presence, so it feels like
Yeah.
you've hosted a demo before. But yeah, I can't remember him hosting one specifically. No.
Okay, so it's Tanner's first time too. So yay! So I will let you guys take it from here.
Cool. Well, some quick introductions. My name is Tanner, as Shayna said. I am a senior film major at Ithaca, and I am a graphic design, animation, and theater minor. I like to kind of put my focus in sort of post-production, hence why I like to be here, and graphic design work. So that's something that I'm going to be talking about today. And then, Cammy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Cammy. So I'm a junior at Syracuse and I'm majoring in television, radio, film in Newhouse. And then I'm also a double major in psych. Um, and then I'm just gonna be doing the After Effects portion of like Tanner's Illustrator. And yeah, I'm also super interested in post-production. I love editing. I'm actually in Shayna's like VFX class. So the first time I opened After Effects was like a week and a half ago, where I put a lightsaber on a broomstick. So that was pretty cool. So take it easy on me if I mess up. But yeah, super excited.
She's gonna do great. I taught her the other day and she picked it up super fast. So I'm excited for her to teach you guys. But basically when we were brainstorming and we met, we thought it would be fun to sort of do a production studio, not even knowing that that's one of the assignments that some of you guys are doing with your own personal brands and animating them. But we thought we should create a production studio with the name Shayna Studios, as you do, and create like a little Illustrator document with it, and then see what we can do in After Effects with animation. So yeah, we'll get to it. Something that I will like to, I'm more talking about the graphic design aspect. So before I share my screen, I kind of want to just like go over some basics. And I also, whenever I do like talks, I like them to be really collaborative. So feel free to like speak out if you know something, or if even if I make a mistake, you can correct me. I don't care. We're all learning here. So yeah. So something that's like important with the world of graphic design is kind of there's 10 basic elements with it. I'm gonna go over, I'll list all of them, but I'm gonna kind of go over like a few of the main important ones. And if you guys happen to know what they mean in terms of design, and we can relate this more to maybe your personal brand, or maybe a production studio or something that you would apply it to your life, then speak out, because that'd be great. So one of the first ones is balance. That's probably the most important when it comes to design. So does anyone know why it would kind of be important? No. Oh no, I know you know.
Well, you want something to look good and feel good to the eye, right?
Hey, Nate has his hand up.
Yeah, you don't want something that's going to be you don't want something that's going to be either like too heavy on in one area, because then it can detract from other areas of something, I guess.
Yeah, of course. And like something that kind of lets me remember it is each design aspect that's on your document has a weight to it. And if you think about that and how every time you put on a thing of text or an image, it's pulling some sort of weight, you need to balance that out with other things in the area. So we'll kind of go over that. And I'll also, as we talk about these, show you some of like the work that I've done in terms of balancing and everything. But yeah, another really important one of them is proximity. Does anyone know how proximity can relate to graphic design? And I'm not going to do this with all 10, just some of the important ones. Trust me. Yeah, Chris, you can just unmute yourself. I don't
Okay,
care.
yeah. Proximity, usually things that are closer together are related. So like you want things that that maybe look similar or something to be closer together.
Yeah, of course. And they just like help create a relationship between sort of related elements. But yeah, pretty much just like it helps create a relationship between similar or related elements. And it kind of groups things together, kind of what Chris was saying. So yeah, one of the most important ones that I think, and I use it now and I'm really not good at it, is a visual like hierarchy. And I'll kind of show you. So at Ithaca, the art school has a lot of speakers that come in and sort of just like talk to all the art kids. And I work on creating the posters for it. So this is one of the posters I made. It's just his art, and then it's basically just the name, the date, the presentation, a bio, who to contact, and all of that. It is so simple. But I can tell you that this has gone back and forth between me and my graphic design professor probably 12 times, just getting the hierarchy right. You want to have a good hierarchy because you want to know where your eye leads to and what follows that after. So as you can see, and it's not just the size, it's also the weight of the text. If something is in italics, if something is not, the sort of tracking of any of the text, and it all plays a really big part, which is why typography is a number of one of the 10 basic elements. But yeah, so that is a huge aspect. And the last one I want to kind of talk about is repetition in design. And this is really important when it comes to your own personal brand. And does anyone know why? I guess it's more of a tougher one.
Esoteric, yes.
What was that, Brad?
It's esoteric.
I don't even know what that means.
Means kind of hard to define, or like
See, I'm learning right now. But repetition is important because when you have your own personal brand, you want everything that you create to be somewhat similar in ways. As in, it's good to have like a universal logo and being able to manipulate that depending on what you're producing. A lot of social medias do this when it comes to what they're pumping out content wise, whether it's an Instagram story, a sort of Twitter post, a Facebook header. All of it can be manipulated, but it's repeated in ways where you always are brought back to the same main focal point and idea. And yeah, I won't show the example, but now let's hit it into some After Effects and we'll get used to know some of the basics. I'm not After Effects, Illustrator. If you know it, this is going to be like a piece of cake for you. But if you haven't touched it before, that's great. So I'm going to share my screen. Alrighty, and can you folks see that? Perfect. So let's pretend that these aren't even here. Let's save that though. Don't save. When you open Illustrator, you kind of get the typical field. So we're going to create a new document, and this is going to be your kind of favorite page. When it comes to like creating visual brands, what me and Cammy talked about is the sizing, and we kind of figured it would be best to do a 1920 by 1080. That's somewhat standard, I would say, when it comes to what you're doing in college with projects. So you could just go to this film and video, and then you can see HDV 1920 by 1080 pixels. You can keep this on pixels, but you can change any of these points to whatever you want it to be defined as ruler-wise. I'm just going to keep it as pixels to make it easier. But yeah.
I like using yards.
You do? That's a new one. Never heard that, but all right. You do you. But another important thing is you want to look at maybe your color mode and make sure if you want to be in RGB or CMYK. Typically RGB is pretty good. But if you
what's the difference though?
I actually don't even know.
Well, there's an application. So RGB is for one destination, CMYK is for another. So since you're using a video preset, I think RGB is appropriate, red, green, blue, right?
Yeah.
But CMYK for cyan, yellow, magenta, black for printing.
Yeah, that makes sense. But and then when it comes to raster effects, usually 300 ppi is what you kind of want to do, especially when it comes to printing. So it is that really nice crisp quality. But if you want to keep it on 72, you certainly can for screen items. And then we'll click create, and then a beautiful document that looks like this comes up. Now it kind of looks crazy because all these green and black lines, but what we're going to do is click on this rectangle icon, and we're just going to create a nice white, I can't even see this edge, box, and that's what we're going to go off of, just because I like to have something in the background. Now, I know Shayna mentioned earlier that some of you guys were talking about color within your sort of brand designs. Something that's really important to note, and I can't stress this enough, even though me and Cammy did the complete opposite, we started with color, you should not start with color when you're designing, because to have a really successful logo or brand or just basically design, it needs to be able to work in black and white as well as work in color. That is something that like I will take to the grave, that my professor taught me, but I just highly recommend you start in black and white, and then you can start adding color. And I'll show you the Adobe Color wheel to help it with you and help you decide what palette you want to use. But so Cammy and I were talking about what to design, and I'm basically going to show you kind of what we went through in our mind process. But we kind of thought of production studio as having two like kind of lines, maybe like Shayna and then studios, something super simple, super easy. And so we just want to create some text to just get us started. Ideally, you'd be starting on a sketchpad, but we're remotely, so we don't really have that luxury. So let's just pretend that we have our design set in mind because we sketched this all out. But if you click on this T, it's the text box. You can drag it, similar to all the other Adobe products, and it just fills it in with Latin text. We're going to create, let's be fancy and make Shayna lowercase, even though she is uppercase. And then we will make studios all uppercase. I'm going to copy that and do it again with studios. Oh my God. I should have changed this size first, which is what I'm going to do now. And something important to notice, this is just something that I like to do. Calling someone uppercase sounds like British slang. I did not mean it in a bad way. I meant like it's proper, but I guess British slang can be meant as proper. But I like to do two separate, completely like text blocks for all my different words, just because you have that option of moving everything around and playing around with it. But it's a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about today, and that Cammy is, you can do it in a million different ways. So you do you. But we thought, would it be fun to maybe have like a script hand lettering font? I think that's kind of fun and silly. So I found one online that I really liked called Letterly Handwritten Demo. You'll find some really cool, fun fonts on DaFont or just like anything, but I suggest you play around with them, kind of see something you like. But I thought this was fun. It kind of looks like a permanent marker. I get that like aesthetic from it. And let's just be neat and center it. We'll do the same thing with this. And now, when it comes to studios, we also want to choose a font. We could choose a serif or sans serif. It's kind of like your preference, but in this case, that's dafont.com. It is. One of my go-to fonts when it comes to kind of working with sort of modern designs, because we did talk about we want this to somewhat be modern, kind of pleasing. I like this font called Montserrat, and it is super, like, you've probably seen it before. It is just so simple and just like beautiful. And I sound like such a nerd talking about fonts like this, but it's great. But we're gonna use the regular one just to get a thickness that we like. And this is something that we can change in the future. So as you can see now, we have, I'm just gonna bring that down. We have Shayna Studios, and it's kind of like starting to get there. We literally just added 2 words and kind of made a font, but they're different, but they kind of complement each other. Their thicknesses are the same. One of them is script, and then one of them is just a plain like block letters, but I don't know, they somewhat work. But now we can kind of talk about more getting into it in design. So Cammy and I thought something that would be cool is, what if there was a line that separated between the two? So that is something that is super easy to do. You can use the pen tool, create a line, but because I don't know why, I just like to do it this way. I use a rectangle tool and I just drag it, and then you want to, let's let you create a rectangle as you saw before. Just let it go to whatever thickness you want. I think the thickness of what our text is roughly about okay. And again, we can always change these things. So it does not have to be perfect. And we'll make it center and even up later. It doesn't have to be centered yet. But this kind of wasn't floating for us, and we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we did something with studios to make it pop more? And I kind of brought the idea to maybe add some circle effects in between each of the letters. Now, that would be sweet, but there's not enough space to fit circles inside these letters. There is, but it would be super smushed and kind of not ideal. So a way to fix that is to play with this little VA. I believe it's called tracking. I should know this. I'm a bad student. But you want to highlight.
Yes, tracking.
Yeah, and play with the tracking of it. And it separates all of the letters completely evenly. So as you can see, as I do that, it's kind of going a little slow, but it's adding spaces in between them, which is what we want to do because we want there to be enough room in between these to add little circles and be fun with that. So I think that's about good. Now we're getting there. I think this can be like a little thinner. And then this is all what design is, kind of playing around with what you like and getting sort of changes made from that. And now we're
I
gonna
have a question.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me, what's correct? So,
whatever you like. Correct. I mean, there's nothing really correct. I mean, there are things that you can't do in design world, like adding drop shadows. I wouldn't recommend.
They have their place. They do.
Yeah, but they're considered frowned upon. But there's really not a correct answer to what is right when it comes to design. It's what's appealing to your eye and appealing to an audience. But to find what you might consider correct is you just want to get a lot of critiques and keep getting people to look at it, your friends, your family, your professors, anyone you see to get eyes on this and change it. That's the best way. Like I showed you before, that simple paragraph or that simple section where it has like an artist visiting with a paragraph, that took about 12 tries just to get that hierarchy right. So all those critiques can make it be something that's correct, but overall, there's no right and wrong when it comes to design. I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, Shayna, but
those principles that you talked about at the beginning with balance, visual hierarchy, compositional rules, I think if you fall back on those as principles, they kind of help to guide it. But yeah, you're right. The mantra I use is if it looks right, it is right.
And sometimes as you get more into design, you have to break some of those rules. And that's like the fun of it, is breaking some of these like main principles to get something that maybe look more appealing. But yeah. So quickly to show you these circles, this shape tool is our best friend. We're going to choose the ellipse tool, and to make something completely round and not an ellipse like this, you just want to hold the shift key. Super simple. And then we're going to make it kind of small and put that where we like it, right there. And then I'm just going to Command C, Command V it, copy it, and just you get the idea. Now, real quick, because I want Cammy to have time to show you, I'm just going to show you one sort of, we fell in love with this and we thought of some fun ways to animate it, which Cammy will show you. But I'm going to show you something called the Adobe Color. I think it's just called Adobe Color, but I think it's the color wheel. And if you have trouble choosing colors for your designs, this website is like a blessing. If you just look up Adobe Color, it should be the first one that comes up. And you can basically just play around with this, and you move this middle one to whatever color you're kind of thinking. If you want like a bluish, but like a bright one, you can move it there. And it gives you all the hex codes as well as your own little personal palette. But the best part about this is you can choose other categories, monochromatic, complementary colors, even like split complementary or double split. And that it's just something that like you can spend like hours on if you wanted to, just playing around with colors. And it's super useful. If I usually go with one color that I like say I like the color yellow, and then I'll see what might work if it's like this yellow and this purple together. and play around with that. But yeah, Cammy, they have a new accessibility tool that helps picking color schemes for. Oh, that's awesome! I did not even know that. But yeah, that's amazing. Do you want to talk about that, Christopher, real quick?
Sure. It's actually right at the top above the color circle. Yeah. And then if you move the circles around, it says which colors look the same depending on what kind of color blindness you have. So you see the deuter and the protanopia. I actually don't know how to pronounce those words, but it's a fun tool to keep in mind.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And now I'm going to pass it on to Cammy. Are you ready, Cammy?
All
Wait.
right, I'm going to share my screen really quick to After Effects. So this is the design that you just saw. And basically, one second, I'm just going to move the zoom tab out of the way.
And
But
real quick, I know we don't have a lot of time, but we basically just imported the Illustrator file into After Effects. And instead of, it gives you kind of options. I wish we had more time, but it says you can use it as footage or creating a composition. You want to choose composition to get kind of what we're looking at right here.
Mm-hmm. So basically from that, Tanner was able to teach me how to animate it. So it looks like this. And I'm going to show y'all how to do that. So I'm just going to start a new project really quick. Won't save that. So we're going to do new composition, make sure everything's looking good. This is what I want. So I'm just going to press OK and then go into here. We're going to import, and then like Tanner was saying before, make sure you're on composition and just open that up. We're going to take this folder right here, drag it down, and then we see nothing because the background is on top of all these. So we're just going to drag that down to the bottom, and that is what Tanner just created. So what we're going to do is I like to lock all of them just so I don't like mess around with any of them by accident. But the first thing we're going to do is create that little rectangle thing that we saw earlier in the animation. And to do that, first make sure you're not like selecting any of these layers. And then we're going to go up here to the pen tool. And we're going to start in the middle. Just click right here. And then you hold down Shift to create these straight lines like that. And then just go ahead and make a rectangle. It's going to fill up, but we'll get rid of that in a second. And then to end it off, I'm just going to click right here. Oop, nope, just kidding. I'm going to try that again. Oh my goodness. I don't know why it's doing that. 1 second. Oh, I think it was working. Okay. Anyways, from that creates the shape layer, and we don't want this fill anymore. So we're just going to go to Contents, Shape, highlight that fill, press delete. And then there we go. And then after that, we are just checking my little cheat sheet really quick. Okay, perfect. So we want to change it to black so it matches all the other colors. We're gonna kind of make this larger so it matches the size of everything. And then I'm going to change that, the line cap and the line joint. We're going to change both to round so it just looks a little cleaner, but obviously you can do whatever you want when you're animating your own thing. So now we just have this rectangle here. So we have to animate it. And what we're going to do with that is there's this little add feature right here. We're just going to go ahead, click that, and then we're going to go down to trim paths. And that's going to allow us to make some movement. So right here, I'm just gonna go to my end, and you can see like that's exactly what we want to happen. So I'm gonna start that at about like 0.5. So it starts with a little dot in the middle. Hit the keyframe, and then just to like wherever you would want it to stop, like this just controls the pace of it. But when you get to a stopping point, you're going to do 100%, and it's going to look like that. And but you don't want that whole rectangle there. You just want it to be a line. So right when this line kind of rounds the corner, I'm going to hit the start keyframe. So then I'm going to go back to where exactly it ends, and then put start at right here. So it creates a horizontal line. So for that was 67, ends on 100. And now we have this cool little rectangle line animation thing. So we're done with that part. So I'm just going to close that up, lock it. Oh, wait, just kidding, actually. To make it look nicer, highlight all these keyframes, right click, go to keyframe assistant, and then do easy ease, and that will just make it look a whole lot nicer. And there we go. Now we're done with that. So as I did before, just close it up, lock it. And now we're going to work on Shayna. So we're going to see exactly when this horizontal line ends. So it's around right here. And I'm just going to unlock Shayna. So this allows me to work with this section without kind of messing up anything over here. And I'm going to drag her all the way here. So when we go before this, we won't see the text anymore. And now we're going to work on this. So we're going to make sure this is highlighted. Good. Back to pen tool. And I like to zoom in because I can't really see that well right now. I'm going to drag this down a bit. And basically you're just going to click around all the letters. I'm going to go pretty fast, but the more time you spend on it, the better it's going to look. And you want to make sure, yeah, just easy enough. Go around all the letters, make sure they're all touching. And this is so we can animate it so it almost looks like she's writing it on the screen. Okay. And then also when you have more time, like you can curve it better. Like it's just a matter of how much time you want to put in on it. But so I'm done doing that now. And I'm going to zoom this back out to 100%. And then, oh, I already had this typed in right here, but on the right, just go to effects, type in stroke. And you go to the generate stroke right here. Just plop that down. And then on the left-hand side, you're going to click reveal original image. So that takes away the Shayna right there. And then we're going to go to effects on this bottom left area. Stroke, that's what you just applied. And change that to black again so it matches. And then brush size, you just want to amp that all the way up until it looks like what you had before. And then with that, so you now have that Shayna. Now we got to create some keyframes to animate it. So what we're going to do is just 1 second. Okay, you're just going to go to end, decrease that to 0, hit the little clock right here, and then same thing, however fast, slow you want it. I'm just gonna see what it looks like when I end it there and increase to 100. And I like that. So that looks good. You have it animated, same thing as before, highlight these 2 keyframes just to make it look even better. One sec. Keyframe assistant, easy ease, and there we go. Now we have Shayna animated. Gonna go back, close all of this stuff, lock it, and now Studios. So again, I'm gonna see when Shayna ends. She ends around right here. And that's when I'm gonna start the Studios. So exactly what I did for Shayna, unlock Studios. I'm gonna go to here and drag it to where you want it to begin. So now we have Studios, and what we're trying to do is make it look 3D as if it's like swinging out towards you. And to do that, all you have to do, come over to this little 3D layer icon, hit it on whichever part you want it to be 3D-ish. And then we're going to go to transform, and we're just going to be working with this x-axis. So you can see if you play around with it, you can move it just like that. I'm going to put it at 90 degrees, which kind of like flips it all the way. Going to hit the clock to start the keyframe, and now we're ready to animate it. So again, however long you want it to be, I'm going to see what it looks like right here. And I'm actually, instead of going to 0, I'm actually going to hit -15. So then I'm able to create kind of like a swinging motion, which I'll show you really quick. I just want to see what this looks like. Okay, so I feel like that's a little too slow. So I'm just going to drag this keyframe over here to speed it up a bit. Maybe a little faster. Okay, that looks good to me. So again, you can control the speed. However, as you see with that -15, it kind of swings out towards you. So this is to just create that little swinging effect. So I'm just going to go a few frames over. So we're at -15. So now I'm going to go to +10, hit enter, and then same thing, few keyframes over. From -10, we're going to do -5. And then from -5, we'll go to 0. And then you want to make sure all of these are the equal length apart. So I'm going to move this one over a little bit. And yeah, that looks pretty good. So look at the swinging. It swings a bit. Looks good. Same thing as we did before. Highlight, keyframe assistant, easy ease to just smooth it out a bit. There we go. And now we just have these dots that need to do something. So it's probably the easiest part. Not probably, definitely the easiest part. You can choose whenever you want them to come in, out. I'm just going to choose right when Studios kind of swings out all the way. Go to this circle, unlock, same things as we did before. Going to drag. And then this one's super simple. Transform and go to opacity. Just gonna set that at 0, hit the clock, and then maybe just like right there, 100. And then, yeah, there you go. And you don't really need to do the easy ease for that because that's already pretty smooth, but you end up something that looks like this.
Good job, Cammy. Look at that. Build it. So we did want to leave like the remainder of time to kind of see if you guys have any questions or wanted to possibly start working on your own sort of personal brand, since I know that's a class assignment for some of you, or just kind of talk about animation and design. So yeah.
Great job, guys, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know Jess has a question.
Okay, if you want to call me out like that. Okay, so Tanner, I know you were talking about how you should start with like a black and white design and go from there. I had an idea that was like kind of like I wanted to use two colors and kind of have them like fade into each other for when I design my name logo. But I guess this is a bad question, but yeah, I just don't like, do you think you can, once you make your black and white design, is it bad to have a name logo that's like colorful, or like what is your recommendation there, I guess?
Not at all. When I say black and white, I just mean for your still logo, if it should be able to read in black and white. That's why I like to usually start with just kind of playing with those two. But when it comes to kind of, you said you're going to like animate kind of two colors coming in or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I'm still playing with it, but that's what I wanted to kind of do something.
Yeah, like
along.
you obviously, like, you don't have to keep your that's a good question too. You don't have to keep your design black and white. Like we talked about before, there's no right and wrong when it comes to graphic design. It's whatever you like and whatever appeals to you that looks good. So I just recommend it's a strong design if your logo can stand by itself with just being in black and white and kind of like those sort of non-color shades. But feel free to, like, when that works, add whatever color you want and play around with that. That'll be awesome.
All right, cool. Thank you. And nice job, Tanner and Cammy. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Renee, sorry, I'm going to call you out now. Do you want to explain some things not to do when you're trying to build your like personal brand logo, since you took the class last year?
Yeah, I still remember what you talked to me. You said don't want too much things on your logo. I was that person. Like I want everything on my logo. I want every element I like on my logo, and I messed up. So just Shayna says simple is the best. Simple is the best. Just find the the element that could be most represent yourself, and make it simple and very impressive. Maybe don't have to a lot of colors or a lot of design or motion graphics. It's motion things. Yeah.
Yeah, so just like a hint, Renee picked, I think the first letter of your name was a different font than the rest of your name. And it was very big, and then there was this Pac-Man aspect to it. There was a lot happening. So she was trying to take everything that inspired her to move into animation into this one thing. And it was just kind of detracting from the readability of it. So, but eventually she got there.
Nick infinitely iterated his personal brand logo. I was it was after my class, but while he was still at IC, but that film like strip logo with his like, it's like a grease pencil like eye in the middle. It ended up looking pretty nice. It was but paring it down and reducing it to like its simplest elements is often a good route. You can always tweak it a little bit, but I think Tanner's suggestion of having it read well in black and white, or at least grayscale, is a really good idea, especially somebody's somebody's not always going to see your PDF, resume or whatever. It might just be printed off and handed to somebody. So making sure that everything looks good, no matter how it's duplicated or presented, is a good idea.
I also want to clarify when Tanner says you should begin in black and white. He doesn't mean like as a beginning designer, you should start in black and white. It's any design start, right, Tanner?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
I also remember Shayna, I'm pretty sure you told me this. When it comes to like resumes and stuff, when you send them out, the person's most likely going to be printing them out on black and white paper. So you want to make sure that like if you have color in your resume that it works with just being in like grayscale. That's pretty much what Brad said before.
Yeah, I think we had Ethan last year do one of these, and it's all pastel. And I printed it for him, and I'm like, this is what it looks like. And it was like all gray, and you couldn't read anything. I was like, so.
It was impressive though on screen.
Yeah.
It has to translate.
Does anyone have any works in progress or ideas they want to talk through? I know, John Gregory, you were working on something today. Chris? Sonia is mentally blocked.
I actually did. So honestly, after this, I'm thinking about changing mine around a little bit. If you want, I can share the screen and kind of show. Let's see. Let me just pull it up. Here we go. So originally, I had. Here we go. I was kind of going for these for the fonts. One called Wendy 1, and then one called Acme. And then I did end up choosing the colors, and I did end up kind of doing something on kind of this design. But immediately after kind of hearing everybody kind of, or seeing this kind of shared, I kind of feel like this might be a little too basic. I don't know, like maybe try a little, something more unique or.
Can anyone give him some feedback?
The first thing I notice is how close the circle is to the text. You need some negative space there. Not the circle, the oval. Because it's like almost touching that J and the bottom of the S and the bottom of the R. So expanding that, and I'm almost thinking that you might not even need it. Because I think the John P. Gregory storyteller kind of stands on its own. And then also something I'm noticing now is the G, the second G in Gregory. I don't know if it's touching the L in storyteller, but maybe add some more space in between those two as well.
So I'll write this all down. Thank you. No, yes, awesome. Thank you. So basically, maybe get rid of the circle and then space out a little bit more.
See what it looks like first with expanding the circle before you get rid of it. But just play around with that. Play around with some more spacing.
Also consider, instead of just using the stroke for backdrop, possibly staging it over a fill, but like a very light value. It's also, you're just basically trying to frame it in, so it doesn't need the kind of contrast that your text needs. So you have a lot of saturation in all three colors. So perhaps if the circle is, or the oval is filled, and less saturation, less present than the text, to make the text pop a little bit.
Oh, Jack unmuted, so I'm like.
I did. It was like I'm waiting for.
Go for it.
One, in terms of layout, the thing that stuck out to me was your name is smaller and in a darker color than your title, which seems antithetical to the purposes of a personal logo, I suppose. You want to be putting yourself first, not your job title. So perhaps those just need to be inverted, not in like the color sense, but just like switch them around so that your name's bigger than the storyteller, and then put your name in a lighter color and your title in a darker one. That would be my suggestion.
Does anyone have any comments on the three colors he picked and the font, as well as we had talked about storyteller today, encompassing his writing and his post-production type of work that he does, so that he could make a reel that has both areas. So I guess I was curious what you guys felt about using the word storyteller.
Well, just on your previous question about his palette, I think, and Jack's suggestion too, your intuition to have the smaller text darker and the larger text lighter, I think is good because it gives you that balance there. So if it gets inverted, as Jack suggested, where your name is the most prominent thing, which I think is a good idea, having that balance though between the larger text being lighter and the smaller text being darker and heavier, I think is appropriate.
I think as far as storyteller, that kind of makes me think more like a writer than which isn't a bad thing. I know that you like writing, John, but I think if you want to encompass post too, then maybe there could be a different word that would like combine the two a little more.
Well, visual storyteller is the obvious choice there. I think that makes it more specific yet keeps it broad, which I think you're intending with storyteller. So.
No, yeah, definitely kind of to keep it as like basically, yeah, I'm not trying to pigeonhole myself too much so they don't see like, oh, he's just a screenplay writer or just a this or just a that.
But even as a screenplay writer, it's still for a visual medium, which I think makes that appropriate.
Cool. Does that help you, John, to get to the next iteration of this?
Oh no, definitely. I think so. I'll probably well, stop sharing. Yeah, I'll probably make some adjustments either tonight or tomorrow, and yeah, see what it looks like on for Thursday.
Excellent. Chris?
Yeah, I can show mine. Give me a second. Okay, so mine, I'm actually redoing my logo right now, and this is a little bit more abstract than maybe the ones you've seen before, because I am in the multimedia design photography program. So I asked Shana earlier.
Don't explain what it is first.
Okay. I was gonna say, I asked Shana today, what do you see when you see this logo? So I'll put that out there.
This might sound like really pretentious, but it reminds me of all those photos where people take where they can have like the blue lighting and the red lighting smacking against their face. If anyone knows Brad knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know. It was like the trend du jour like a few years ago where everything had that like super high contrast lighting. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
If I could interject, that looks a little similar to the Patreon.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Anyone else?
Do you know the book Chicka Chicka Boom Boom?
Yeah, it's a bestseller.
What it reminds me of.
Can I guess that the red is a C and then a B?
Winner, chicken dinner. But I think Tanner is a designer, so I think we might think similarly. So I was thinking of revamping it, and actually I was going to ask Shana today if it would look better. Oh,
exactly.
Oh yeah, I ran away. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No stroke. If I could just do something like this. No, don't do that to me. Just bring this down. And would it come across more as a C if well, I'm not doing a good job right now, but if I were to cut the circle off like this?
No, I mean, you already have that, the black B ascender element. So I think you could, as long as you just reposition the red circle to have the corner of the B ascender centered in the circle. So if you move the red circle
Okay.
to the right, and yeah, okay, now move it down a little bit, maybe. You want to just center the circle on the corner of the, yes. Okay, it's starting to get there, but
Yeah, it needs some work. It's definitely more abstract than others. But how do we feel about this typeface right here?
Tanner had a comment.
Oh, please just shout it out.
I was just gonna say, what if the red circle was a stroke instead of filled in? If it would come across.
I definitely did play with that. I think I grouped these all together, so no.
If you made the blue circle half occluded too, maybe.
And then if I just did stroke with no filler, something like that, more legible. Like, do you see a C and a B here?
Not quite.
Okay, I appreciate the honesty.
It's getting there though. I like when the hollow version of it, I think is a good approach to take though. Because again, having it reproduce in black and white, I think is important. But I like the weight of the rectangle.
Okay, cool.
I think it's getting close. I think you have the elements to get there, but it's going to take some more tweaking and play.
Okay. Cool. And do we like the lowercase sans serif down here?
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Thank you guys.
Do you have where you started last semester?
I would need a second to bring it up. Want me to find it real quick? Here, 1 second.
Might as well. Unless there's anyone else who has, we're like at the end, so this could be our finale. Do you want to stop sharing for a sec? Oh, or not. There you go.
That was my old word mark that I made. I didn't hear any oohs or ahs.
Well, they communicate too. They're both good. Once you finish this next one, it'll be there. But they communicate two totally different things. So from the second one, I read a very clean design, aesthetic, modern. And then from the old one, I read more like a hand wrought, quirky, Burton-esque kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
That kind of matches your style, a mix of those.
I need to bring them together.
Chris, this one makes me think more of like Lil Dude type of projects. It's like, I don't know, the font is really fun, and yeah, I don't know. It seems like very you from what my one class with you definition.
Thank you. Cool, thanks.
Yeah, I agree with what Renee said in the chat, that
Oh, I haven't seen the chat.
your old one's more like I'm an artist, and the new one's more modern business professional.
Cool.
Cool. Tanner, Cammy, do you have any last words? You have homework for anyone?
Homework is to create a personal brand. I have it all completed by next week. No. But thank you all for listening.
Yeah, I mean,
thanks everyone.
they'll both be here the rest of the semester as much as they can. So if you do have something that you work on and you want to bring it back for feedback, many of you do have to make a reel this semester, or just in your personal life want to make one. Or are updating your resume and stuff like that. So perfect place to bring stuff to get some feedback. Did anyone else have anything they want feedback on before we shut down for the night? Ben T? No.
Not yet.
Okay.
I could show off. Mine's been
Whoa.
working on mine forever, but
Whoa, Jack.
Razzle dazzle.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Hold on. How do I do this?
Hold on to your butts.
Very similar color scheme from the I never use the drop shadow ones that are here on the bottom, but here you go. I don't know, is this working?
Yeah.
The drop shadow is a mortal sin, according to
It is mortal sin. I've since learned that, and I never use them, so there you go. In fact, here you go. For everyone, there you go. Never do it.
Do you have your reel with it in
I
motion?
do have my reel. I could fetch that as well.
Oh, speaking of motion, I need those park post elements. If they're on the Google Drive, then I can just grab them there. But yeah,
those things. Yeah,
yeah, those they're good and they're useful. So I was
idea
just gonna
about
put together some.
I could find them. I can hunt them.
So next week we've got Jack and Kyle are gonna meet up and do something together on. Kyle, do you want to, while Jack's finding something, do you want to briefly give a?
Yeah, we're just
You
gonna
haven't
talk
met
about.
yet, but
Yeah, we're just gonna talk about movie trailers. We'll just do like a little brief overview of history and just some structure of it before we just start talking about like ones that we like or remember fondly. And also show off how you can edit re-edit a movie to make the genre completely different as well.
Cool.
Oh, I love it. I'm looking forward to that, Kyle.
Yeah.
And Jack.
All right, I have it here. I don't know. What can you see?
Hey, that's me.
Oh,
It is you.
Cameo.
You'll see in a second here. I don't know if there's volume. It's not really necessary for an animation, I suppose, but so there you go. That's how it starts.
So new.
Have you not seen this one?
Do you have a Vimeo link?
It's on my website.
Okay, it's on your website. And what's your website? Can you post it in the chat so
Yeah,
we make you in awe?
It's also, the website goes to the link of it, obviously, but hold on. I mean, it's just my name.com.
Jack McCall. You got Jack McCall.
I did get jackmccall.com.
Cool. I got bradluter.com. Don't ever let it go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Poor Nick had like, I forgot what he got, but it was not anything normal.
Jack, type your link.
Stop biz.
Yes, I'm typing.
Yeah.
Looks right.
Yes, you spelled
That's
your
how I spell my name.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, just for reference, the logo took me since I was assigned that assignment in Shayna's class until I got out of college. So that was like 3 or 4 years to get right. And then the reel took another like year to get to a place that I was happy with. So it is a long
2017.
process. I mean, I went through a lot of different iterations before I landed on that one. With the slash cut out of the J and the M with the circle. And then it took like another year to get the reel to a place where I liked it, including that animation you just saw. So,
well, the rest of you have a week.
But you can massage it infinitely, forever.
Exactly.
Cool. Jack and Kyle, if you could stay a couple minutes after, I know Brad would like a little more detail for next week. And then, yeah, everyone else free to go. Hopefully see you next week. Jackson and Yoon, you are the week after. So if you guys can meet up, that'd be cool. All right. See you guys next week.
See ya.